record number of women and minorities running and winning. For the first time ever, Native American women will be represented in Congress.
You said that plural, women.
Joining us now is one of those members in the state of New Mexico, Congresswoman-elect Deb Haaland. Congresswoman, congratulations. For you,
thank you.
What's the first issue you want to tackle?
Thank you, Steph. Thank you, Ellie, for having me on. I'm really happy to be here. Look, the first issue, the top issue in my campaign here in New Mexico is fighting climate change and moving toward a renewable energy economy. That's a winning message here in New Mexico when we have a state that has 310 days of sun per year. So, but look, there's so many issues that are important. Making sure that every New Mexican and every American has health care, that's definitely an important issue. So I imagine that we'll get together and work toward making the lives of Americans better at this point.
Look, you ran on the basis of policy, some very progressive policies, but something that became clear to all Americans in this last election, particularly in North Dakota, is the degree to which fellow Native Americans continue to have problems exercising their franchise. That it is, we're not there yet. We believe that every American has the right to vote, but not every American has an equal opportunity to vote.
That's correct. Yes, it happened all over the country, not just with Native Americans, with people of color, right? In Kansas and Georgia, that's the way that Republicans seemingly can win, is if they disenfranchise folks. And so, yes, that is definitely something I'm passionate about. I've been organizing here in New Mexico for close to 20 years in underrepresented communities, and so I will go to Congress to absolutely fight for everyone's right to vote as well.
Well, one of the first things you'll be considering, at least in the next few days, is Speaker of the House. Will you be supporting Nancy Pelosi?
I will.
All right, there you go. You're direct and great.
Yes, I will. Look, she's so effective. That's why the Republicans don't like her, right? She's an effective leader. She'll be an effective speaker. And I think right now in this era, we need to make sure that we have folks leading us who can navigate everything we need to navigate, and I wholeheartedly trust Leader Pelosi, and I think she'll do a terrific job.
Congresswoman-elect Deb Haaland, it is with great personal pride that we welcome Native American members to the United States House of Congress. That is a great source of pride for our country. Long overdue, but a great source of pride. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, MSNBC fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there and click on any of the videos here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. You can get more MSNBC for free every day with our newsletters. Just visit msnbc.com/newsletters to sign up now.